How's it going, my true people? Dr.Slaking, the Slacking Doctor, back with week, Christ, what week is it? Week 11? 10. Week 10 of the APA Academy for you. And this week we're going up against my man Aaron2420. Shout out to Odds, my week 11 opponent who played next week, who commented on my last week 9's video, very confusing this, saying that he's Aaron instead of Aaron, because it's like a meme or something. I don't know. It confuses me still, if I'm honest. But regardless, Aaron seems like one of the nicest guys in the community. He seems really, really nice. Every interaction I've had with him, he's been super nice. So he's a good friend of Stromful's, and I've only heard good things about him. Definitely go and check out his side of the battle, because I have just come from there myself. This video, I should say, is probably going up pretty late. I doubt it'll go up before Wednesday, and I'm going to be perfectly honest about this. I have had pretty busy time IRL, not like anything to worry about, like good stuff going on IRL, but I've also just had a lack of motivation to record this, I'll be honest. The APA, like the past few weeks, I've been very frustrated with how I've played. I've really found myself frustrated by the format, not through any fault of the format itself, but through fault of my own. And I think I'm gonna probably upload a video when the season finishes, kind of explaining how exactly I feel about this format upon reflection, and how I feel this season's gone, and everything else. But yeah, so I've just really been struggling for motivation. So I went and watched my opponent's side of the battle, because he'd uploaded it. I watched his full video, and I thought it was fantastic. I watched the team builder and everything, really, really interesting. And that made me want to upload it. I was like, do you know what? You know, he did such a great job of the video. Let's get this. Let's do this properly. If nothing least, to give him the respect he deserves, and you know, the people that helped me build. So Ben and I built this team, checkmate Ben and I built this team just before he went away to work, and we built like the first 3 sets together, sort of, and then he went off to work, and I finished off the rest of the team. I don't remember if we tested it or not. I think we did do some testing, so shout out to any of my front office members that tested with me. We definitely did. I would think it would be Stromful and Aquarius more than likely, as they've been testing the most this season. But anyway, so shout out to them. This team, I'm not super happy with the build, but we'll go over it and we'll talk about it. This is going to be more analytical type video, because I'm assuming most of you will have already seen his side of the battle, so most of you probably already know the result if you are just following the APA Academy. And for those of you that haven't, you know, I'm obviously not going to spoil results and stuff, but I definitely want this to be a more reflective video anyway, because I think that's where I can offer something on this match, and where I can offer something for you guys to take from this video. So let's start off by talking about, if you want to skip all the team builder and the pre-ramble, which I've already done, if you wanted to skip it, it's too late. The timestamp will be appearing above my head, so you guys can skip ahead. I should have said that earlier, but regardless, and now my opponent's team is going to be appearing that side of me, I think. And my opponent's team is, for those of you on mobile or whatever that can't read it, Latios, Clefable, Hawlucha, Tapu Bulu, Jolteon, Vaporeon, Drapion, Wobbuffet, Mega Camerupt, Type Null, and Crustle. Now, Stromful actually drafted my team for me. If those of you that didn't watch last week, Stromful drafted this 4th or 3rd roster for us, and he actually drafted it a little bit with this match in mind, because he knew that I hadn't played Aaron yet, and he wanted it, this to be a game that I gave a good account of myself being against one of his friends and stuff, and being in front of mine. He wanted this to be a good game. So he kind of drafted this team a little bit with Aaron's team in mind to some extent. Not a hard counter team or anything, but some things in mind. So we'll get onto that in just a second. But first up, kicking us off on the team here, we have Tangrowth, Troy Senior coming through with a pretty heat set. And this was a Ben set through and through. And this is one of the sets that I regret not changing. Not because I think it's a bad set, but because I don't think it's a me set, right? I think it's a set that Ben would use and would use superbly. I don't feel like it's a set that I would use that well, and I didn't, spoilers, use it that well in the game. It's kind of. And it got changed up a bit as well. But anyway, this is Natural Gift, Poison Jab, Leech Seed, Sleep Powder. Now, Natural Gift with the Pasho Berry basically turns to like a very strong physical water move, so that we can hit that Mega Camerupt, because Mega Camerupt does look really, really good against my team to some extent. Its speed tier is not great, but everything else, you know, if Salazzle doesn't have Hidden Power Water, if Hydreigon doesn't have, you know, 4 times effective coverage, well, Hydreigon actually kind of waters it, to be fair. That's a bad example. Mamo can hit with an EQ, but it probably takes one if it's invested right. Thundy definitely needs Hidden Power Water to be able to hit it, and a few other things on my team can kind of get walled by it. So with that in mind, we thought, you know, there's a pretty good chance of coming. Could be a bit of a threat. So Tangrowth is a great lure. It probably wants to come in to kill Tangrowth with the Mega Camerupt, and then we can just hit him with that Natural Give Water and destroy him. So that was the idea there. Now, this is why I say that I don't think it was a set that suited me, because there's no stab on here. It's all like tech, and it's all situational, because if Tapu Bulu doesn't come, because that's the other thing this is fantastic for. If Tapu Bulu doesn't come and Mega Camerupt doesn't come, because neither of them have, like, phenomenal matchups. So Camerupt has a cool matchup, but not, like, phenomenal. Bulu doesn't have the best matchup, in my opinion. Then suddenly, this set is pretty pointless, right? It doesn't have Grass Stab to even hit other things that hard. Isn't that, like, crazy bulky? Really, all I can try and do is put something to sleep. So, yeah, a bit of a weird set. Leech Seed's pretty nice, you know, but again, like Clef, for example, is a bit of a problem, but at least I can Sleep Powder it. So, it's not useless, but it's definitely going to be limited depending on what he brings. Now, if he brings the Bulu and the Camerupt, this is going to be amazing, because I can Natural Gift Water the Camerupt to lure, and I can Poison Jab the Bulu. Fantastic. Fantastic. Anyway, regardless, let's move on. Hydreigon coming up next. Rouge Ones. Strumpful actually did make a spelling mistake on the doc. I would lay into it, but I mean, obviously he's Swedish. English is the first language, and his English is better than mine. But this is supposed to be Rogue Ones, but I'm keeping it as Rouge Ones. I don't even care. I think it's funny that we have this French Hydreigon now. So we have Rouge Ones, not Rogue Ones, the Hydreigon. Dark Pulse, Flash Cannon, Taunt, Substitute. Because he does have that Wobbuffet, this is one thing that I kind of disagree with him on. He said in his video that he feels like Wobbuffet is a great mon. I think Wobbuffet is ball sacks. I think Wobbuffet is a terrible mon. And I kind of want to abuse that as much as possible. So, with Taunt plus Substitute, basically, Wobbuffet thinks that it can Destiny Bomb me, it can whatever me, Mirror Coat me. It can't. I can get free subs on you for days. I can get leftovers recovery if I want to just keep spamming Taunt until you switch out. So yeah, I really felt like I could abuse the hell out of his Wobbuffet with my Hydreigon, which would be pretty fun. Flash Cannon is on there to hit the Clefable. We're actually mod is pretty heavily invested so that we can two-shot that Clefable. We have a ton of bulk as well. Loads of bulk and hardly any speed. This is just like a full-out breaker Hydreigon. So that we can two-shot that Clefable and really put a hole in it. Taunt it as well if we need to stop it from being able to Calm Mind up against us. But I mean, it can't Calm Mind very comfortably because we do outspeed and hit it with, I don't know, 50 to 55% with the Flash Cannon, depending on investment. Next up. Emil, I still don't know how you pronounce this one. Salazzle with a Poisonium Z this week. Fire Blast, Sludge Wave, Nasty Plot, and Taunt. The Poisonium Z just means after a Nasty Plot, we can just blow a hole through everything on his team, pretty much. His Poison Resist is like Mega Camerupt, which we think we can probably bait with the Tangrowth, Drapion, which doesn't like taking Fire Blasts, especially after a Nasty Plot, and that's it there, his Poison Resist. So this thing can really go in. If I want to predict the Lati coming in, I can just go raw Poisonium Z and have a chance to Oko the Lati after Rocks, I think, but that might be a mistake. This game was a couple of weeks ago, so that might be a mistake. Then next up we have Borges the Mamoswine. Still don't know how to pronounce this, but it's a gorgeous Borges the Mamoswine. Life Orb, this is really my win con in this game. I found that in my mocks, I didn't expect it to be, but in my mocks this thing really just went in. I was able to like Ice Shard down the Lati from like 60% say. I was able to Stomping Tantrum a lot of things really well. Icicle Crash, a lot of things really well, and if I can get Rocks up then that's fantastic for the rest of my team. This thing's got quite a lot of HP investment and then just max attack Adamant so we can really try and rip through his team. Next up, we have Outbreaker, the Thunder T. Zap Plate this week. I know in his video he thought it was Scarfed. I tried to play it so that it kind of looked like it was Scarf a lot of the time. But really, this thing is just another breaker, just to break through the fat on his team. Things like Type Null, things like Tapu Bulu, things like Clefable. And also, of course, it can kind of stop Hawlucha. I do think he's likely to be like Stone Edge if he brings a Hawlucha. I think he has to be because of Thunder T. And this is really where I want to get onto what Stromful kind of did with this draft, is that he tried to make it so that we just didn't lose to Bulu Lucha. And I think he did a fantastic job of that. So much so that I don't even think Bulu or Lucha will come to this game because we have things like Tangrowth for the Bulu. We have things like Thunder T for the Lucha. We have Dusclops for the Lucha. We have something else as well for the Lucha. Like, we just have so many checks to that thing. I can't remember what the other one is that we're not bringing, but there is another check that we have on our draft for it. Slowbro. We have Slowbro for the Lucha. So, like, the Lucha just does not have a great matchup here at all. But, nevertheless, I still think Thunder T has a great matchup here with the Zap Plate, Thunderbolt, Sludge Wave, Hidden Power, Water being able to hit that camera up like we said already. Sludge Wave being able to hit the Clefable for pretty nice damage. And U-Turn being able to pivot out. Then, last up on the team, we have Simon the Dusclops, here with the Eviolite, being able to Pursuit Trap that Lati. We are a predominantly Spadef set, very heavily invested in Spadef. being able to pursuit trap him and get like 30% off, basically just guaranteeing to put Scarf Lati in Ice Shard range from ammo, because if Lati comes, it is Scarf, like I'm almost certain, because of things like Scarf Hydreigon being able to outspeed it, and because also Scarf Lati has a great matchup against me, so this was really the best check we had, and it's not like a resist or anything, so that shows you how good this matchup was. So yeah, Dusclops able to come in here, soak up hits, pursuit it, and really just wear down his team. I can Nightshade the Clefable if I really need to. I can Toxic it if I see that it's not Magic Guard. If I see that it's Unaware. I don't think that Unaware has the best matchup, but then we do have some nasty Plotmons, so maybe. But nevertheless, we have Simon here, doing what Simon does, hopefully wearing things down and being an annoyance to his team. And Frisk, of course, is really useful just to find out items on things, especially that Lati that we're going to be coming in on. Finding out if it is Scarf or not early is really, really cool as well. So with all that in mind, guys, I think the team is pretty solid. Looking at this team, the main threats to me is Crystal and arguably still Mega Camerupt. Drapion could be a little bit annoying if it's T-Spikes, but I guess we have the Salazzle. And Jolteon could be a bit of a concern if I play badly around it. But with the Mamoswine and the Thundy there, I think we can handle Jolteon probably decently well. And with Dusclops there, we kind of have something for the Crystal and the Lati and stuff. Crystal is a bit of a concern. I need to see if it comes whether he leads with it, whether it's like a sturdy Hazards lead, because I don't have any defog on this team, or I need to see whether it's a like offensive Shell Smash if it stays in the back. And if it is offensive Shell Smash, Checkmate Ben did say before he went away, you're just going to lose to it if it's offensive Shell Smash. And I said, yeah, but he's not going to bring offensive Shell Smash. So we'll have to wait and see whether he did or did not. But yeah, it will be a bit of a problem if he is that. My best things are to be able to Flash Cannon with Hydreigon. If we can get behind a sub and stuff, then he can't really set up too easily on me. And then once he's lowered his defenses, Ice Shard from Mamo is going to do quite a lot. So that's really how I'm looking to handle that thing if I see it come at team preview. Anyway, guys, without wasting any more of your time, let's jump into the battle. So here we are in the battle, guys, and as you can see, my opponent did decide to bring the Wobbuffet and the Crystal, two things that I wasn't too sure about, and the Type Null that I really didn't think would come at all. So that was some really, really interesting stuff to see straight away at team preview. Now, looking at his team, I need to make sure that I led off with something that wasn't instantly kind of screwed over by Wob. And if possible, to get something in that could give some good damage on Wob. So, for example, Mamoswine is really not great against Wob here because, you know, if we Rocks, he could Encore us into Rocks. If we Icicle Crash, he could just counter us, so definitely can't be leading off with Mamoswine, especially with this being our win condition. But other things like Salazzle, Thundy, and those kind of things can do pretty well too. The other thing that we really need to be careful of is that Crystal. If I could get something to deal with that Crystal, if it's going to be like a sturdy Hazard leads, that would be pretty good too, as I don't want him to be able to get too many Hazards up. So with all that in mind, I kind of look at the team and I'm like, okay, I think I'm going to lead off with Thundy because I can T-bolt the Crystal for really good damage with our Zap Plate, so I'll probably be able to two-shot that thing. And he'll probably predict me to switch out if I'm with my Thundy, so I don't think he'll go straight for the Rock move. But if he does, I don't mind losing my Thundy. I could do that also with Salazzle and Hydreigon, for example, going for Flash Cannon or setting up and going for Fire Blast. But the reason that I don't want to do that so much is because with those two, if he does just go for the Rock move and kill them, I feel like they're more valuable in this matchup than Thundy is. So, but Thundy still doesn't get wall by, or still can handle Wobbuffet just like the other two could as well. So, with that in mind, I am just going to lead off with Thundy, and looking at my win con here being Mamo, I'm like, okay, I've got to deal with the Wob, but I'm pretty confident doing that. Then I've got to get this in range with a Pursuit into Ice Shard range, hopefully wear this down into Ice Shard range as well, but maybe we can take one hit from this if need be anyway. Crystal, if I can get some chip down and put that into Stomping Tantrum range or Icicle Crash range, that shouldn't be too bad. Obviously, I could have just gone with straight up EQ here for damage, as he didn't bring the Tapu Bulu, but it was worth it still. Then this Clefable, I can chip that down probably pretty nicely too, put that in Stomping Tantrum or Icicle Crash range. And the Type Null is really something that I want to break, because that's the thing that I think is going to sponge up a lot of hits from Mamo looking at his team. So, if I get the opportunity to break Type Null, I've just got to go for it. So, with that in mind, we're going to lead off with Thundy, like I say. And I do not like the music that I have in my headphones. You guys shouldn't have, you should have the game audio, I think. Hopefully that's about the right volume. Hopefully it's not drowning me out. Who knows? But I do not like the music in my headphones. So, we're going to go to there. Let me do that. There we go. So he does decide to lead off with the Wobbuffet, and I'm like, that's like not too bad actually, because here I think I can go for the U-turn and get free chip. I don't think he ever counters here. Like, I don't think he ever counters. If I went from Nasty Plot, he would be in a world of hurt. So that's just like free chip on this Wobbuffet, which is great for Mamoswine in the end game. So, gonna go out into EMEL here, because unlike Hydreigon, which would, you know, look like fairly obvious fodder to him, this thing doesn't know what he's going to do yet, and he's got to be wary of me just going straight for a nasty plot. So, whereas again, Mamoswine, he could just switch out and probably wouldn't have to worry about me setting up. This thing he does. So that gives me a free taunt, which then gives me the nasty plot if I want to go for it. I thought he would probably go type null, so I do go for the nasty plot, but he actually makes a great play into Lati. And I was annoyed with myself here because I, like, in my mocks and stuff, I probably would have pulled the trigger and clicked the Z Sludge Wave right then, just to bop this thing coming in. But I made a bit of a, not a choke play, but like when these early micro turns, I really get that one wrong. I should have just Z Sludge Wave. Like, it was no drawback really. So it doesn't really matter because I can go into Simon, I can take the Psychic, and I can still Pursuit Trap this thing. So, in terms of my end game with Mamoswine, this is fine. Like, I'm still exactly where I want to be. I managed to get the Pursuit off on this. I knew that he wouldn't see this coming. I knew that he didn't really have a choice anyway. And that now pretty much puts him in Ice Shard range, I'm pretty sure. So, we are Life Orb Adamant. So, that's fantastic. Like, that's exactly what I needed. Simon, of course, I can't really touch this thing. I don't know if it is Magic Guard or if it's Unaware, but I'm not going to run the risk. I'm just going to go hard into EMEL in case he is... Calm Mind, but he actually just goes straight for Rocks, and that's the other thing, is that I get in before I take Rocks Chip, which is fantastic. So here I'm just going to go for Sludge Wave, for Nasty Plot, I think. No, I think I'll go for the Poisonium Z, actually, so that if he goes Lati again, I don't let that thing in. This time, though, I think that was, again, a bit of a misplay, because I don't think he ever goes Lati this time. He probably doesn't fear the Nasty Plot after I've already shown it once. He probably knows I'm not going to go for it a second time. So, a bit of, like, a couple of micro turns that I think I get wrong there. Like, this isn't going badly for me by any stretch, but, like, I just feel like I could have, those little decisions, I think I could have got better by just looking at how my opponent would play rather than thinking about what gets me the most out of the turn, necessarily. I'm just going to go for the Nasty Plot here. This thing can't Oko me, and it looks like I can kill it with a Fire Blast after the Nasty Plot, so I'm just going to go for that, and he's going to fire off a return. It does quite a lot. And then here, I know in his commentary he said that he thought that this could never kill him. I could never kill him from this range, but my calc was showing like that Fire Blast would definitely kill and Sludge Wave might be a roll. I go for the Sludge Wave, and he, I think, has a little bit more investment than I realized. But I'm pretty sure Fire Blast is at least a roll to kill there anyway, and I just misplayed. But we get the poison, we snag a bit of a clutch poison, and as we go down, he goes down to the poison. Now, I really think that was a big misplay by me, because I was like, oh, if I Fire Blast and I get nothing, that's really bad. If I Sludge Wave and he's not quite as invested as I think he is, I might be able to KO it. I think that was just a pussy play. Like, there's no two ways around it. I think I should have just Fire Blasted straight up. Sometimes you gotta take a little bit of a gamble. I didn't play that well by going for the Z Sludge Wave this time, so the last time and stuff. Like, so I think that's where I have to grow a pair and just Fire Blast and just go for the KO there. Because like I say, if that lands, I think it's at least a roll to KO, judging by how much Sludge Wave did and how much the calc was saying to me. But anyway, by the by, we both go down, and I'm like, that's still fantastic for Mamo. I still haven't lost too much because of that, like, and even without that clutch poison, unless he'd got a rest off, then it still would have been great for Mamo. So, that's pretty nice. I'm just going to go into Tangrowth here, because Tangrowth does nothing in this match. Like, it just does nothing, and I'm like, I may as well just scout what he's going to go into to get some momentum, and I'm like, this is perfect. I can go for a Sleep Pad here, and then that means he doesn't have, this is really, really clutch, actually, because he gets the confusion, but if this thing goes to sleep, then he doesn't have anything that can outspeed Hydreigon and break my sub, other than Latios. And if he wants to give me his Latios, then that's his Scarfer we've already seen from Frisk. That's his Scarfer gone. So I feel like if I can get this thing put to sleep, he has a really tough time dealing with my Hydreigon, knowing that I two-shot him with Flash Cannon because I'm modest and invested so much. So I was like, yeah, this is actually perfect for me. Let's get this thing to sleep, and we're in a great spot. He goes for the Signal Beam, which wasn't unexpected. He turns out to be Life Orb. It does a shit ton of damage, but I don't really care. Gets the 10%, I'm pretty sure it's 10% confusion, and then gets the full confusion. And this really sucks for us. I just have to let Troy Senior go down here, take the inbound fighting, as it turns out to be, and just go down. Good prep by him. Like, I'm not trying to take anything away there. Great prep by him. Really, really cool set. But that's why that Sleep Powder would have been so valuable. I still would have had to land the Sleep Powder, don't get me wrong. But that's why that would have been so valuable, because this set is such a good set, that later on in the game, if I can get a sub off with Hydreigon, it's all situational. If I can, then that's fantastic. I can do something. Here I go into Rouge Wands, because I just want to bluff Scarf and try and force him out. And I'm going to go Raw Flash Cannon into the Clef. He actually just doesn't really make a choke play and just stays in and clicks Signal Beam. I agree with that play completely. He doesn't really need this thing necessarily, other than, like, I kind of know that he does, but he doesn't know that he does. Does that make sense? So I'm just like, damn, like, he got me. He really got me there. That sucks. But we are going to get a bit of leftovers back, and you know, it's not too bad. I think, did we crit the flash cannon there? I can't quite remember if we actually crit the flash cannon as well. I know we get the Spadef drop, but do we get a crit as well? Yeah, we get a crit, which is pretty nice because it doesn't reveal our set. So, you know, RNG comes and RNG goes. That's Mons, isn't it? So he doesn't really know from that whether we're modest or whatever, which obviously we are. If he even bothered to calculate, I don't know. But we're able to just pivot out into Simon here because he's got to go for the Signal Beam again to pick up the KO. He can't risk me going for the Dark Force now that he's seen I'm leftovers. He knows I can switch up my moves. He knows I'm not Specs or anything. And even another Flash Cannon probably KO'd the Spadef drop anyway. I don't know. So we're going to Simon here. I need to lose a little bit more to Life Orb. So at least we're chipping this thing down. I did consider going for the Pursuit here just to pick this thing off. And I really think that would have been my best play. Like, if that had had a roll to KO him, I think that was absolutely my optimal play. I think I made a big misplay here because what I actually just go for instead is the Nightshade to try and wear down the Clef coming in because I'm a little bit more worried about the Clef now that Salazzle's gone down. So again, like, I just think that wasn't the correct play. Here, I know that he can't trap me, and I think he's a good enough player to know that too. So I'm just going to go into Rouge ones here because I don't know exactly what his game plan is considering that he can't trap me. And he goes for the Destiny Bond, and I'm like, okay, now in his side of the video, he explained that if I went into a Scarfer this way or anything that outspeeds him this way, I can't KO him this turn, and I'm just stuck in with him. So now, for example, he feels like I have to go for the Flash Cannon, and he can Magic Coat me. I can't go for the Dark Pulse because I'll KO him and lose my Hydreigon. So, really cool play by him just trying to force my hand there. But I actually, of course, can go for the Taunt, which is why I went into Hydreigon over anything else, because it was just my best way of dealing with this. Say if I went into Thundy, that would have forced some 50-50s about whether I U-turned or Thunderbolted and stuff like that. But now, because I got the Taunt off, I can go for the Sub, and this is exactly where I wanted to be. And this is where I'm talking about if I had, one, not got fully fused with Tangrowth and landed the Sleep Powder, but two, had I made the proper play and Pursuit Trap the Jolteon, this is what I'm talking about me being in a phenomenal position, because the Jolteon wouldn't be able to come in and break my sub. He would have to go into Clef to break my sub, and then I would 2-hit KO the Clef, and that would be sensational for my end game with Mamo. So, really, really sucks here. Or, of course, he could go into the Crystal, but if he goes into the Crystal, that gives me that modest Flash Cannon off on the Crystal, which I so desperately want as well. So, yeah, some definitely interesting plays here. As I'm just going to stay in and basically make sure that I can get another sub up later in the game if I want to with this leftovers recovery. And if I call the switch on the right turn and Dark Pulse on the right turn, I can actually kill this Jolteon coming in. And then I'm still in the same place that I've been talking about, minus the hacks and misplays. But I don't call it on the right turn. I think he's going to go for one more, and I was going to Dark Pulse the next turn. So I really misplayed there. Got a bit greedy with my leftovers recovery, but it doesn't matter because it still shows me a KO. He has to go for the Signal Beam here or Hidden Power Fighting if he wants to break my sub, which he does go for, of course. But that does mean that Dark Force can just KO him. If he had been within range of 2 Life Orb recalls, I could have just double subbed there, which was the other reason that I kind of wanted to keep taunting with Hydreigon, because I was like, if I can get back to the point where I can like make 2 subs after some switches and turns and stuff, maybe I can just sub-stall the Jolteon into just dying like to Life Orb recoil, which would be incredible. And I would still end up with a sub or whatever, but that wasn't to be. Here I'm going to pivot into Simon, and I think, you know, this play made sense. Just sack off Simon. This Lattie's a huge threat, so we are able to frisk him, see his Stroke Scarf again. Obviously, that's already known. He goes for the Draco Meteor, and he's going to drop himself to -2. Simon at this point has done his job. He's already Pursuit Trapped this once. He should have Pursuit Trapped the Jolteon if I had been thinking properly, which I just wasn't. I'm going to be perfectly frank. I went on tilt after the full confusion with Tangrowth, and I played the little passage after that pretty badly until I got Hydreigon in against Wobbuffet, and then I kind of recovered and got my mojo back. But here I'm going to make a double because there's no way he stays in. I don't think he can't KO me. I don't see the point of it. I can kill him with Ice Shard, especially if I'm banded. He doesn't know anything about my set. So I'm going to double into Rouge ones. Hoping to try and get that Wobbuffet coming in. I think he's got the Wobbuffet left still, right? Yeah, he's still got the Wobbuffet left. So I'm hoping to try and catch that Wobbuffet coming in to be able to get another sub up on it. Unfortunately, that doesn't happen, and he goes into Clefable instead, and now I'm forced to Flash Cannon just to get chip off on this thing, and he's going to Moonblast me. And this puts me in such a bad spot, because now I'm really going to struggle to get the damage off on Crystal that I need to beat it with Mamoswine in the end game. And that Crystal is just looking like a massive threat without that modest Flash Cannon on the team. So that really, really sucked. It was me trying to get that double right, and if I'd got that double right as he went into the a Wobbuffet, then and calling the rest of the turns right would have just potentially won us the match as well. So that happens. Here I can just fire off the T-Bolt. It looks like it might be a roll to KO, because we are Zap Plate and really, really strong, but we don't quite KO. Maybe I should have gone for the Sludge Wave there, but I didn't want to just let the Crustle in and take, like, no chip on that. Again, I think that my play in this end game to win with Mamoswine is to kind of have him choke. As stupid as that sounds, had he gone into Crustle there trying to take a resisted Sludge Wave, I would have been able to T-Bolt him down so low that then I would have been able to pick him off with Ice Shard. I would have been able to Ice Shard the Lati, and I might have had to like flinch the Wob or something. I can't quite remember what range of health Wob is at, but yeah, there was still like, it was pretty rough, but I pretty much just had to play off a choke at this point. Like, that's what I'm really going for here. Or a flinch. I don't know why we're lagging. Hopefully my recordings are lagging too. But he goes out into Wob here. And I'm like, this is kind of a 50-50 in terms of I could go for U-turn, you could counter. I cannot risk Mamo in any world. I need Mamo in this endgame, so I'm just going to fire off the T-Bolt. And if he Mirror Coats me, that's no skin off my nose. It's absolutely fine. It doesn't really change my endgame here, because I still have an endgame to win this. If he isn't Weak Armor Crystal, because I'm pretty sure he gets that if he is Sturdy Crystal, then I can still flinch it with Icicle Crash. I mean, I think Icicle Crash has a higher chance to flinch than Signal Beam does to Confuse, so, you know, RNG. I'm just going to fire off the Ice Shard here because I know this is Custap Berry Destiny Bond. There's no way it's not. And basically, if you don't know, Custap Berry means that you move first within your priority bracket. So, Destiny Bond will move faster than any other non-priority move because it's a non-priority move. It basically, the way that I try and explain Custap Berry to people the few times I do explain it, is that it's like giving your Pokemon infinite speed without affecting priority, because you will only ever move within the same priority bracket. You will just always move first within it. So, it basically, yeah, it's like giving your Pokemon infinite speed rather than actually being any other kind of priority boost like people usually think of it. But I still have an endgame here as Crustle comes out, because like I say, Ice Shard's going to pick off that Lati, I believe, and this Crustle should get a 2-hit KO depending on his spread by Icicle Crash. So if he's not Weak Armor and we get a flinch right here and we don't miss 2 Icicle Crashes, we still win this game because Mamoswine is just that good. So we fire up the Icicle Crash and I'm like, come on, give me this. I haven't played very well. I've got those little microturns wrong. I'll be the first to admit that, but you know, just give me this. Like, let me get over my soul. I've had some pretty rough hacks this season. We don't get the flinch. We do not. We do not get that flinch. And the Rocky MZ comes out, and like I'm saying this, he deserves to win. Like, I'm saying, like, give me that flinch for things that have happened otherwise in the season, because I'm just, at this point in the season, I am frustrated with just how I've played and how things have gone for me, but he fully deserves a win. Like, taking nothing away from him. This Crystal bodied me. And look at little Mamo getting crushed. I might make that a thumbnail if I can. Poor little Mamo. Board just goes down there to the Rocky MZ. So GG to my opponent, Aaron. Like I said, a fully deserving winner, and that near enough puts us out of playoffs because this was our playoff rival. If we had beaten him, we maybe could have taken his spot in playoffs. Maybe if we win out our other 2 games and some results go our way, we might make it. But like, this was the game where I could put it in our hands, where I could say that like, if we win here, we win our remaining games, we'll probably make playoffs. And now we've not only got to win our remaining games, but we've got to rely on other people getting results for us. So yeah, this was really kind of the end of the season for us. And it sucked. It sucked really badly because I feel like I was very close here. I feel like, you know, if I'd got the pursuit play correct with Dusclops, if I'd got a little bit luckier with my Tangrowth, you know, these little things that just I didn't quite get right. I didn't call the Jolteon coming in on the right turn. And I feel like these were the things that early in the season I was getting right. And we were just like missing high jump kicks or getting like double powers at the worst possible moment. Or, you know, there's various things that have just gone on through the season. And I feel like as my luck turned in the middle part of the season, my plays got worse. Like, I just started playing badly, I feel. And I'm really disappointed in myself for that. So regardless, thank you to you guys for your support during the season. Hopefully we can bounce back next week and we can try and force something. But frankly, like, I don't feel like we deserve playoffs. I don't feel like the way I've played deserves playoffs. I have to give a huge shout out to my front office. They've been sensational all season. We've been well prepped for like all of these games. This is probably the most prep I've done for a league, realistically. So there's no excuses here. Like, it's just come down to me not playing well enough, and, you know, maybe not sometimes getting rubbed the green, but predominantly me just not playing well enough. So regardless, next week we go up against Odds. Super nice guy. Like I said, he helped me out with knowing why it was Aaron instead of Aaron, because that was confusing me. Really nice guy. So we play him next week, and then the final week we play Root, someone that we will be playing in the upcoming UBL season. So I'm really excited to play him. Oh, I don't know if we'll be playing him anyway, but he's in the UBL with us, so really excited to play him. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for loafing around with me, and I'll catch you again next time.